You can see the trainer riders now just starting their next fast lap. Jonathan Ray and the number 65 Kawasaki right on board. And you can see the conditions now. They have improved so much. You can see the ocean now in the distance. You couldn't see that a couple of hours ago during free practice 3. Conditions getting better and better. Riders are going to get faster and faster. For Jonathan Ray, with 4 minutes left in this session, he's probably got time for 3 fast laps now at the end of the session.
Riding on board with Jonathan Ray, 3 times a pole sitter here in Phillip Island, most recently in 2019. He's already got 5 pole positions to his name in 2022. That's compared to 4 pole positions for Toprak Razgatlioglu. Ray and Bautista, as well as Phillip Island, actually, all up after the first completed sector of their first flying lap. Garrett Gerloff on his second flying lap has just come through with a new personal best that puts him into P4. Watch for Nagashima as well. He's been good value throughout this weekend, clearly suffering no ill effects of his earlier spill this morning, because he's just set a new personal best first sector and 1.5 tenths of a second faster than Bautista had been able to go before. It's Bautista versus Ray as things stand in Superpole. They've made it halfway through the lap. They're working their way now through towards the final sector. We're still on board with Jonathan Ray. He's 2 tenths of a second up after 3 completed sectors, now making his way through the final couple of turns. Bautista's behind him on the track, but Bautista is going faster still. So Jonathan Ray looking to add to his 5 pole positions, looking good to maintain his run on the front row of a Superbike grid. He's been on the front row for the last year. Last time he was off the front row of the grid was October 2021. Ray goes provisionally pole. It is a 1 minute 30.0. Alvaro Bautista could go faster still and should go faster still. He does. He's the first rider into the 1 minute 29s this weekend. It's a 1 minute 29.815. He's still going to have a challenge because there's 2 minutes remaining in this Superpole session, but that is a great effort from Alvaro Bautista. See what Toprak Razgatlioglu can do. He's all the way down in 7th position after back-to-back poles. Razgatlioglu with some work to do. Alex Lowe's will reach the line first. He's currently 3rd, coming off the final turn. See if he can match Jonathan Ray. There's over half a second between them on their fastest laps thus far. Alex Lowe's does set a new personal best, narrows the gap to Ray to less than a tenth of a second, but can't find any way to make progress from P3. Razgatlioglu now has crossed the line to move up into 4th position. Team partner Andrea Locatelli directly behind him. It's an all Yamaha second row of the grid, and unfortunately that's Nagashima, whose session looks to have ended, down in 10th position as things stand with 1.5 minutes remaining, and that's going to be the tight turn 4 as Nagashima comes to grief for a second time on Saturday here in Phillip Island.
Yeah, just looking at our commentary box window, and the marshals running away from that, so that's going to keep the yellow flags out. Jonathan Ray just about to start his final lap. Hopefully the yellows be away by the time he gets around, but it is going to affect quite a lot of riders right now.
Jonathan Ray was up at the halfway mark on his latest lap. He is going to get another, of course, because there is just under a minute still remaining on the clock, so Alvaro Bautista too will be able to have another go. He's just making his way now through turn 12. They'll both be hoping that Nagashima has cleared the circuit. He has, so Nagashima is now up and away, and that should allow us to set competitive times in the closing minutes of Superpole. Said it's set up to be Bautista versus Ray. Razgatlioglu at the moment with a 4 tenths of a second deficit to Bautista, the leader of the session.
Yeah, and 3 Yamahas currently on the second row of the grid. Razgatlioglu, Locatelli and Gerloff, and they do have that bit of a margin to the Kawasaki's and Bautista's Ducati. They haven't had that same speed. You can see a few more spots of rain there on the camera lens coming through that last sector, but it shouldn't affect the riders too much. They're going to have time for 1 more lap, as you can see here, for Bassani, and it looks like Locatelli behind them.
Andrea Locatelli then capitalising on a slipstream coming off the final turn there to swing through on Axel Bassani coming in towards turn number 1. The checkered flag is about to fall, so it's final laps for all of the riders from here on in. Jonathan Ray was up after sector 1, but he's lost a little bit of ground in sector 2. Alex Lowe's didn't quite make it for another lap, so the best that he will manage now will be 3rd position. Provisionally another front row start for him in 2022. He's the only rider other than the big 3 to have been on the front row of the grid more than once in this 2022 campaign. Lowe's then sitting 3rd. It's Ray in 2nd, half a second down after 3 completed sectors. He won't improve, and neither will Alvaro Bautista. The lap has dropped away from him in sector 2.
Yeah, Toprak, Locatelli, Gerloff, they're all down now at this stage as well. Phillip Island's not going to improve, so it does look like the front row could be fairly locked out.
Jonathan Rea then will cross the line, 1 minute 30.6. The lap time had already gone away from him, so it will be second position for Jonathan Rea, and only a second pole of this 2022 campaign for Alvaro Bautista. And when you think back to 3 years ago when Bautista was third on the grid and then waltzed away into the distance for a hat-trick of victories, that sets this man up very nicely for the remainder of this weekend. The first pole position here in Phillip Island.
Yeah, the one thing we can take for granted is down in towards Southern Loop at turn 2. Jonathan Rea is going to try something during the races, but we know that Alvaro has really good long-run consistency, so he's going to be very difficult to beat from that pole position. Great lap from him to get within pretty much half a second of the lap record. That lap record was set with a Q tyre in 2020, so really impressive lap times right now from these Superbike riders.
And remember that Bautista hadn't exactly been on great form in terms of Superpole performances either. Just the one front row start in the prior 7 rounds coming in to this Australian round. So Bautista, really against the grain of form, comes away with pole position, and by 0.2 of a second as well. He's really going to fancy his chances over the course of this weekend. He was always pegged as the pre-round favourite for a big result, and it is looking good thus far for Alvaro Bautista. Good for KRT to have their 2 men both on the front row of the grid. Return to the front row for Alex Lowes. He has had 6 second row starts from his previous 7 visits to Phillip Island, so this will be his best Superpole result around this venue. Alex Lowes takes P3, and it's Jonathan Rea in second position, maintaining that consecutive run of front row starts that stretches all the way back to the final round of last season. So 12 out of 12 in 2022 in terms of front row starts for Jonathan Rea. Consistency being shown by Rea. Good performances in Superpole throughout this season from Alex Lowes as well.